Hey guys, welcome to Blazing Guitars, where we talk about worship, gear, music, theory, and everything in between. My name is Blaze Nelson, and today I want to take a quick look at the very beginning of music theory. And for some reason, all guitar players that I know, not all, but a lot of them are very averse to music theory. We don't like music theory, and I never quite understood that because when I was a kid, I started learning when I was 12. So I would walk into a music store, and every guitar player in there would be playing Metallica's One, and I just didn't understand, like, what's the point of learning music if you're not gonna be able to make your own stuff or be unique or understand what you're playing. So naturally that kind of led me to on this journey of understanding music and understanding how it works together, and that starts with intervals. So I think they're extremely important. Music theory is extremely important, and specifically on the guitar, because the guitar is like the perfect instrument to understand music theory on, because there's no differentiating the notes. So like if you're on a piano, like the sharps and stuff are up and kind of placed weirdly, so you have to learn 12 different major scales, whereas on the guitar you can just learn one, and you can move it as many times as you want, anywhere you want, and it's still the major scale. So I think it's extremely valuable to learn at least some basics on music theory. So before we get into it today, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any thoughts or suggestions on videos or any questions, you can leave a comment below and I'll get back to you, I promise. And yeah, it'd be fun to hear from you guys and interact with you guys a little bit. So let's jump into it. So what is an interval? An interval is the distance between two notes, okay? And the reason that's important is because if you take the same distance, so let's take it out of music and think of like actual distance, right? So if you take 6 inches, right? 6 inches anywhere is still 6 inches, and the same thing kind of happens with music. If you take, for example, a whole step, which is 2 notes apart, so you have a half step, which is one note apart, and then a whole step is two notes apart. Okay, if you take that and move it, it sort of sounds the same. So let me take an example here. I'm gonna play an A and a D. Okay. Okay. Now, those 2 notes are the beginning of "Oh Christmas Tree." Let's say that's the beginning of a lot of songs, but let's say "Oh Christmas Tree," right? So. Now, let's take 2 completely different notes. Let's take a C and an F. So we had an A and a D before, and now we're going to do a C and an F. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that, but it still sounds like "Oh Christmas Tree." Okay, so that's the interval. I played the same interval. I played 4 different notes, two different notes each time, but those 2 notes had the same distance in between them, and so they sounded the same. And if you're in a band especially, that can help, like if your singer can't sing the notes because it's just too high, you can actually take your chord progressions, and it's called transpose. You can transpose them down, and if all your chords have the same relationship with each other as the original set of chords, then it will sound the same. So we're going to get into a lot of that in the future, hopefully in future videos. But today I wanted to look at the very basics and just talk about notes. Talk about the relationship with the notes and specifically give you the names on those. All right, let's jump into this. So I'm going to start out by writing the 12 notes, first of all. So we have an A sharp, which I'm just going to do sharps here. B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and then it restarts at A, right? So we already talked about the basic. So a half step is the distance from one note to the other, right? So this is a half step, This is a half step. And then a whole step is a skip, right? So that's a whole step. Now, where that, you can stop there and that's all you need to know. But it gets a little clunky if you want to look at the relationship between an A and a D, for example. So what we have is notation to describe the relationship between all these notes. And here's what that looks like. And you don't have to memorize this. I don't want to, you don't have to be overwhelmed, but it'd be good to come back and it's not terribly difficult to memorize, and it can be really helpful in the future. And we'll look at, different ways to apply this in future videos. But for right now, I just want to give you the notation and one example on how to use it. So any note that you start with is going to be called your root. So you have a root. You have a minor 2, which is denoted with a small m. Minors are small, normally, lowercase. A major 2, a minor 3, major 3, perfect 4th, augmented 4, perfect 5th, minor 6, major 6, minor 7, major 7, and then back to your root. Okay? So these describe the relationship between the A with any of these notes. So if you look at our example before, I played an A and a D, which is a perfect 4th. Now, if I wanted to reproduce that example, but just here on the whiteboard, I'm going to start with the C, and I'm going to go C sharp, D, D sharp, E, and I ended on the F, right? That's the note that I played. So if I look at that, I have a 1, minor 2, major 2, minor 3, major 3, and then a perfect 4th. So that's why that sounded the same, was because the two examples that I played were perfect 4ths of each other. So the A and the D are a perfect 4th, and then the C and the F are a perfect 4th. And that just starts, that's the beginning of O Christmas Tree. So that's the basics, that's the notation. As I said, the way I memorized it was it always starts with a minor, and then you have PAP in the middle here. So you have minor major 2, minor major 3, PAP, minor major 6, minor major 7, back to the root. And you'll see this in a lot of different areas, not just in like notes, but like a chord will be a 1, a major 3, and a perfect 5th. That's going to be your major chord. So if you take that same formula and like we have C already written out here. Let's go to C and then G, which is the augmented 4th and the perfect 5th. If you wanted to play a C major chord, you can take that same formula, 1, major 3, perfect 5, 1, major 3, perfect 5, and if you play C, E, G, that's going to be your major chord. So those are the kinds of things you can use this for. We'll look at further examples and ways to implement this in the future. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll be back next week.